A couple of years ago, I transcribed the score of a 1971 musical called JOAN, and I'm helping present it in concert in just a few days. It's a modern-day adaptation of Joan of Arc set in 1970s New York. In this version of the story, Joan is an anti-war protester who's conflicted about her means of protest, and she's in a throuple with a hippie and a revolutionary agitator, but after a spiritual crisis, she runs into the Virgin Mary on the street and falls in love with her. So you can imagine that the score is pretty adventurous, and I'd say it's just about everything you'd want in experimental off-Broadway musical theater from the 1970s. There's some Tin Pan Alley, there's some vaudeville, and there's some surrealism and some melodrama, and of course, some hymns. The composer Al Carmines was an openly gay reverend at Judson Memorial Church, and he wrote Joan through the off-Broadway Judson Poets Theater. Now, Carmines created this musical that ran off-Broadway at Circle in the Square and was preserved on an LP, an original cast album, with Carmines at the piano. But the problem from a preservation or longevity perspective was Carmines never wrote anything down. He taught by rote and had the music in his head, and other pianists and music directors seem to have learned his music from hearing or watching or transcribing his playing. We eventually found copyright deposits at the Library of Congress of most of his songs from the show. Someone in Carmines' orbit wrote down lead sheets, melodies with chord symbols, but with neither piano parts nor any of the intricate vocal counterpoint that some of the songs have. And this makes sense when the pianist is also the composer and is working in a tradition with more spontaneity and experimentation. Carmines could change up the accompaniments and even the routines from one performance to the next. But it also meant that everyone who played the music of his musicals tended to be his trusted collaborators or himself. So I learned about this musical from my partner Patrick, who became pretty obsessed with Carmines after seeing a performance of his most famous musical, Promenade, in New York in the 2010s. Patrick had heard of Joan, but couldn't track anything down. There's only one song on YouTube, and if you can find it, it's awesome and catchy and weird and sarcastic, but that was it, that one song. Until one day, we were in line to see a Broadway show, and while we were killing time leafing through the crates outside a vintage record store, they found the LP. So, Patrick devours this music as soon as we get home and proposes staging it, which means hunting down the script and getting the score and getting permission from the Carmines estate and bringing a cast together to perform it. And it turns out that restoring an old musical is a big lift. In my department, it's especially terrifying because after a long search that included reaching out to virtually everyone that we thought might have a written score and actually getting sent 2 transcriptions of individual songs, we never found the rest of the score beyond the lead sheets at the Library of Congress. And I don't want to undersell that act of preservation, but the notation just can't capture Carmines' relentless musical inventiveness. The transcriptions that we did get were as detailed as I wanted to be for the other 90% of the musical. So here's a short clip from the album. This is from one of the guys in the throuple. And here's what I took from it. And the music never quite lets up for what's ended up being about a 150-page piano vocal score. We finally did a staged reading in DC back in 2023, and getting a group of performers to read and sing through these songs. Some of them were pretty sure for the first time since the 1970s. I've never experienced anything quite like it. So we're doing it again, this time in New York. We're presenting the songs from the show in a concert at the Green Room 42 on October 20th at 9:30 p.m. It's a wonderful cast that includes some folks who were involved with the reading 2 years ago, and everyone's an absolute vocal force of nature. And for Patrick and me, the most exciting piece of this has been discovering a vibrant theatrical community, because we've gotten to speak with folks who were involved with the Judson Theater and even part of the original cast of this show, and we get to perform some theater history with a piece that is strange and queer and preachy and unsettlingly timely. Obviously, I could go on about this, and I happily will if you ask me anything about it, but for now, I'll just say that you can get tickets to see this in person or live stream it at the link in my bio, and if you've landed here, I imagine there's a chance that it might be up your alley to see a memorable evening that combines being a theater history nerd with hearing rapturous music. So I hope to see you there.